Hello everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar session. I'm Meena, working for Syncfusion as a software engineer. In this webinar, you will learn how to design a simple checkout flow progress for any e-commerce website using our Blazor stepper component. Here, I'm not going to focus on designing any e-commerce page or site, but I'll be designing only such progress indicator using our Blazor stepper component. Along with this, I will also share exciting updates of Volume 4 2023 release in Blazor and EJ2 platforms. Without much delay, let's get started. First, I'm going to design the e-commerce checkout flow progress using our stepper component. The Syncfusion stepper is a highly customizable component that enables you to navigate through a series of steps or stages in a web application. It displays a list of steps, highlighting the current step and allows you to navigate between steps. Let me start creating the application. I'm going to design this checkout page using the Blazor stepper component. So let me create a Blazor app first. Before starting, make sure you have installed one of the following .NET frameworks in your machine and one of the IDEs installed. I open Visual Studio and create a new project using the Blazor WebAssembly template. The Blazor application is created. To use the Blazor stepper component, I need to install the Syncfusion Blazor Navigations package. So I'll open NuGet Package Manager, switch to Browse tab, and search for the Syncfusion Blazor Navigations package. I click to install it. Okay, the Syncfusion Blazor Navigations package is installed now. Next, to add CSS styles to the stepper component, I need to add the Syncfusion Themes package. I will install that too. Okay, the themes package is also installed. Next, I open the imports.racer page and refer the Syncfusion Blazor and Syncfusion Blazor navigations namespaces. This will allow me to use the Syncfusion stepper component in any of the racer pages. Then I open program.cs file and add the Syncfusion Blazor namespace. I will also register the Syncfusion Blazor service by making a call to the add Syncfusion Blazor method. The next important thing is to host the CSS and script for the stepper component. So I'll open index.html file and refer the script and CSS files from the installed Syncfusion Blazor package. Now the application is configured to use the Syncfusion stepper component. Next, I open index.racer page and remove the default code. I add the stepper component by adding the SF stepper tag. Within it, I will add a stepper steps tag. This tag will accept n number of steps within it. As I am going to make checkout page for an e-commerce site, I am adding 5 steps now. I'll save the changes and run the application now. You can see the stepper component renders with 5 steps. As you see here, the steps are labeled using numbers. I can customize these numbers using icons, labels, or labels with icons. Now I will show you how to add labels and icons to them. I'm going to name these steps as cart, shipping address, payment, order preview, and complete. These are the steps we normally see on any e commerce checkout page. I'm going to set these labels using the label property. In the first stepper tag, I define the label property and set its value to cart. Similarly, I repeat the same for other steps with respective labels. Now you can see the stepper component renders with labels. Next, let's add icons to these steps. I use the icon CSS property and add the relevant CSS class to it. For adding the cart icon, I add the SF icon cart class. Similarly, I add the icon CSS property for all the steppers and add the respective CSS class to it. Then, inside the style tag, I define the font face with a specific source path, naming its font family as default to access the required font icons at the application level. Subsequently, for the classes assigned to the icon CSS property, I assign the content value to access the required font icon. I run the application now. See, the stepper component is rendered with defined labels and icons. As you see here, I can navigate through each step to complete the process. Next, I'm going to add next and back buttons to the stepper to facilitate the navigation between steps. I add two button components with the text back and next. I add the predefined class eButton to the buttons. Then I add the click event for the back button with the event handler update back. I also add the click event for the next button with the event handler update next. While clicking the back button, I want the stepper to navigate a step backward, and while clicking the next button, the stepper will navigate a step forward. To access the stepper component dynamically on a button click, I create an instance using the ref attribute. Inside the add code section, I initialize the component instance. Then I define the event handler update back, and within it, I call the previous step async method using the component instance. This method will navigate to the previous step. Similarly, I define the update next event handler and call the next step async method. This step will navigate to the next step in the stepper. I save my changes to run the application. You can see two buttons, back and next, are added. I can navigate to the next step using the next button and to the previous step using the back button. That's all about designing of progress indicator in the e-commerce checkout page using our stepper component. Next, let me take you through the updates in the Syncfusion Blazor components for Volume 4 2023 release. The first update is now the Syncfusion Blazor components seamlessly support .NET 8 framework. We provide access to the newest features of the .NET 8 framework such as rendering mode, web app template, and so on. Next, let's see the new components that are introduced for Volume 4 2023 release. They are dropdown tree, data form, and stepper. These components are introduced in the preview state. Let's have a look on these components. First, dropdown tree. Dropdown tree is nothing but a text box component that allows you to select single or multiple values from hierarchical data in a tree like structure. We have implemented this component with all its required functionalities such as data binding, checkboxes, filtering, sorting, templates, UI customization, and so on. Let's have a look at its demo. Here you can see the examples of Blazor drop-down tree component. Let me navigate to the filtering example. Here if you see, there are three filter types supported by the drop-down tree component. They are starts with, ends with, and contains. Let me choose contains type. Here you can see a search text box using which you can search values. As I have chosen contains filter type, the drop-down tree renders the values that contains Australia. Similarly, you can see examples here for all other important features. Okay, let me navigate to the next important component that has been introduced for this volume release, which is data form. This data form component allows you to create forms that can automatically generate form fields from your data model. Using this data form, you can design a registration page or login page that provides a user friendly experience. The data forms can be validated through built in Blazor validation, and the validation messages can be displayed as inlines, summaries, and tooltips. The form grouping features allows you to organize the related forms together. This data form can automatically generate built-in components like text box, numeric text box, date picker, text area based on the form fields. Let's have a look at one of its demo samples. Here you see the data form being used for a hotel booking application. You can see the data form generates the built-in components like text box, date picker, time picker, and drop-down list based on the data model. Alright, let's have a look on the other new component, stepper. Stepper component allows you to navigate through a series of steps or stages in a process within the web application. Some of its key features are listed below. First, step types. You can display the steps either with indicators and labels, or only with labels, or only with indicators. The stepper can be displayed in both horizontal and vertical orientation. The next feature is linear flow. It enables a step by step progression, completing one step before moving on to the next. It has a tooltip support which shows an additional information when you hover over a step. Just like other UI components, you can also customize the appearance and content of the stepper component using templates. Let me take you to the demo page of this. Here you can see the stepper displays the custom text, icon only, icon with label, and label only step types. Here you can see the vertical orientation of the stepper. The labels can be placed in four different positions like start, end, top, and bottom. Okay, that's all about the new components in Blazor platform. Next, I will show you important updates in other UI components. The first on the list is synchronizing charts. Now we provide support for synchronizing tooltips, crosshairs, highlighting, and selection across numerous charts. Then step position. Now you can apply step from left, right, center from each data point in the Blazor charts. The next update is data points in mouse events. Now you can obtain details about the data points in the mouse events. We have also provided support to export charts in Excel in table formats. That's all about the updates in the Blazor charts. Next, we'll see an update in the Blazor circular cage. We have enhanced the animation option in the circular cage. Now, the gauge elements such as axis lines, ranges, pointers, and annotations can be animated one by one to create a smooth rendering of the gauge. Next, let's see an update in the Blazor diagram. The Blazor diagram now provides support for radial layout. This layout provides an enhanced visual organization of your diagrams. This can be used in hierarchical structures where nodes branch out from the center node like this. The center node is the main node, whereas the subnodes radiate outwards in a circular fashion. The next update is in the word processor component. We have provided ruler support in the word processor. This will make the formatting easier and create professional looking results. Next, in the Excel library, we have provided support for grouping date and time fields in pivot table. Now you can group pivot data based on date, year, month, quarter, hour, minute, and second. The next support is font fallback in Excel to PDF conversion. The Syncfusion Excel library now provides support for fallback fonts for Unicode text while converting Excel files to PDF files or image files. The next update is TIFF images preservation. Now, the Syncfusion Excel library supports preserving the TIFF images exactly as they appear in the input document during PDF or image conversion. The next update is the Excel library now provides support for creating and parsing Excel functions like lambda, sort, by row, by call, to row, to call, choose rows, to choose calls, and so on. Moving on to the Gantt chart, we have provided support for virtual scrolling with overscan count. This feature allows the pre-rendering of extra rows before and after the viewport. This will reduce the frequency of data fetch requests while scrolling vertically. Next, I will show you the updates in the data grid. The first is enhancement in frozen rows and columns. Along with the traditional frozen rows and columns feature, now you can freeze the columns in place while scrolling the grid horizontally. Then, a few enhancements have been made to the adaptive layout. The menus and pop ups like context menu, and column chooser can now adjust their layouts based on the screen size of the mobile devices. Now you can easily rearrange the group data between rows simply through drag and drop option. The next update is you can now export the data grid to a memory stream, file stream, or blobs during the export process. Now you can directly bind a data table as a data source to the data grid. That's all about the updates in data grid. Next, there is an update in the pager component. Now, the page size dropdown fits into the adaptive view layout based on the screen size of the mobile devices. Then, in the image editor, we have provided straightening support. Now, you can easily align the orientation of images, ensuring the visually appealing output. Next, in the linear gauge, we have provided support for text pointer to indicate the text value. Animation has been enhanced in the linear gauge, where gauge elements like axis lines, ranges, and pointers render one by one to create a smooth experience. Now we provide support for shapefile rendering in maps. Maps can now read and render shapes from shapefiles. We can also add elements like bubbles, markers, and navigations to the maps. Next, a few enhancements have been made to the PDF library, like PDF split enhancement, optimization to reduce the file size during document operations, and enhancement in the digital signature validation. Lastly, improvements have been made for better error handling. Then in the PDF viewer, we have access for keyboard shortcuts for better user experience. We have also provided support for annotation toolbar in the PDF viewer. You can add, remove, or comment on the annotations. Next, coming to the pivot table, we can now export both pivot chart and pivot table to a single PDF document. Also, in the range selector, you can export the range selector data to Excel in a table format. Last but not the least, you can now create mathematical equations in the word library using LaTeX string. That's all about the updates in the Blazor platforms. Next, let's dive into the updates in EJ2 platforms for this Volume 4 release. The new components that are introduced in the EJ2 platforms are 3D chart and stepper. We have already seen about the stepper component. Let's see about the 3D charts. 3D chart is a representation of data in 3 dimensions. Unlike 2D charts, 3D charts add depth to the visualization for better understanding of data patterns. You can bind the JSON data source or the data manager to the 3D charts. Like 2D charts, it has data label support to improve the readability. It can plot different data types such as numbers, datetime, logarithmic, and string. It also supports legends and tooltips. You can export 3D charts directly from the browser to JPEG or PNG format images. That's all about the new components for this release in EJ2 platforms. Next, let's see updates in other UI components. Components like autocomplete, drop-down list, and combo box are provided with visual scrolling support. Now it is easy for users to navigate through a large list without loading all the items at once. Next, in the bullet chart, support has been given to apply different colors to the value and target bars. In the charts, axis title alignment support is given. Now you can align the title to the left, right, and center of the chart area. The next update in the charts is Fixed Tooltip. This feature allows you to position the tooltip at a fixed location. Coming to the diagram, now you can add UML class shapes to the symbol palette. You can easily drag and drop the UML shapes onto the canvas and render UML class diagrams. Next, in the word processor, we have provided support for collaborative editing, in which multiple users can work on the same document simultaneously. It can be done in real time so that collaborators can view the changes as they are made. It improves the efficiency of a teamwork without having to wait for each other to finish their changes. The next update is on the Gantt chart. We have provided support to drag and drop the taskbars between tasks. Now, the validation is enabled in the Gantt chart editing. It checks the data validity and display the error messages before the data is saved. The next update is a few enhancements have been made to the PDF exporting, comprehensive exporting, customization options, and data integrity. Next, let's see the updates in the grid component. Now you can load checkbox list on demand in Excel and checkbox filter dialogs. It loads the next set of data dynamically on load while working in larger data sets. Next, we have provided support for adding your own content to the grid fields when the grid displays no records. This can be achieved using templates. The next update is lazy loading support in the list view component. This feature will retrieve data from the remote services for the current viewport alone. The remaining data can be retrieved on demand when scrolling. This improves the performance of the list view component. The next update is in the maps. Now you can render the polygon shape on the main layer of the maps using the appropriate data source. In the EJ2 schedulers, you can now customize the icons, text, and tooltip of the toolbar directly. Also, you can customize more number of concurrent events in the same row. The next update is in the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet now displays a confirmation dialog before opening an Excel file that contains external workbook reference. Also, new formulas like lookup, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, rounddown, and so on are added to the spreadsheet. Finally, there is an update in the tree grid. Now you can export tree grid to PDF and Excel files with aggregate cell values included in the footer for specified columns. That's all about the updates in EG2 platforms for the Volume 4 2023 release. Okay, that's all about today's webinar session. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.